Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Welcome back. It's April. Let's build some heat. Let's get moving. I hope you are feeling more energized with the change in the season. Although, to be fair, I feel like with spring, we have this idea that it's like all of a sudden winter's over and spring is here. And it is probably one of the more difficult transitions seasonally because we want the warmth of spring, we want the new growth, and then the season gives us, we get this thaw in February and then it's winter again. We get this thaw in March and we get our hopes up. Is it spring? And then it's winter again. Have you heard this term, a fool's springtime? We're having this a little bit here this week. It was so beautiful out. And then it snowed again. There's always that April's last hurrah, as I like to call it. My friend calls it April's revenge. You decide. So we'll do some work to build heat, embrace warmth, and put this into your routine wherever you are feeling you need a boost of the summer heat in our yoga practice. The other thing I will say in terms of that, maybe a little bit more future thinking, don't fear the warmth. It can help us to transition seasonally. We get that urge to take off all our layers on that first warm day and go outside in nothing but a hoodie. Actually, by keeping a little bit more layer on, our bodies get accustomed to warmth so that as the season warms, May, June, and into the summer, we are ready for the heat. So just a little bit of an idea I'll put out there. Not everybody likes it because it's uncomfortable, and you may heat adapt very quickly, in which case, don't worry about it. Okay, here we go. Let's get into what season is it. We are fully in kapha season now. Cool and damp. We are ready for April showers bring May flowers. The values of kapha season, or maybe the powers that we need to draw upon, kapha types are often very patient. Again, we have this long transition into spring. In my climate, I don't know where you live. My sister was in England for a long time, and they just have this beautiful spring that wakes up out of a dreary winter. Here in Ontario, it feels like it's never going to come. So we can draw upon our kapha powers of patience and faith. We know the season will change. It will happen. Even if it feels like it won't on an emotional level, we know it's coming. So we can bring spring indoors in a couple of different ways. I start growing sprouts. You can get those jars. They have a special kind of lid. You put the seeds in the bottom of the jar. You let it soak in the water. You flip it over. You let the water drain out. You leave it for a few days, you come back, and amazing! You have some alfalfa sprouts or whatever you like. I grow radishes and then put the little radish sprouts on top of my salad, make it a little spicy. You may like that. We can also bring different sorts of plants inside the home. Artificial is fantastic. Real is even better, can give this feeling of freshness and spring around the house. You can start growing, my mom grows tomatoes, starts them indoors, and then when it's warm enough, moves them outdoors. Maybe you're a gardener, that would be fun for you. The other thing that is so simple and very rewarding, you can get those little pots with herbs in them. If all you have is a little windowsill in your apartment, maybe a little herb plants kind of garden thing on the windowsill. If you have a basement apartment and all you have is those teeny tiny little legal rental windows, then I would say, okay, let's grow the sprouts in a jar. Let's turn towards artificial plants. What else have we got? Okay, our tea. One of my favorites, Moringa leaf. I don't know if you are familiar with this. It is supposed to be one of nature's most abundant plants when it comes to the nourishment and kind of feel-good vibes we get from it. You can make a little Moringa latte. I like, in the spring, lemon gives us that kind of pep. Moringa, it's a leaf, it's a green powder, so you can put a little scoop of Moringa powder, lemon juice or squeeze of lemon, stir it up. I like it to be less zesty and tangy and a little bit more balanced, so I put in, remember there's lemon in it, a non-dairy milk alternative so it doesn't curdle. Maybe you like curdled milk tea, I don't know. Macadamia nut is pretty good. These days I've been going for oat milk in my Moringa lemon latte. You can do a little sprinkle of cinnamon on it afterwards and let it boost your mood and your energy. Okay, we have our essential oil for this month. So I want something energizing, and this is what I think of for kapha season. Maybe we're feeling a bit stuck in the muck, a little bit down. There's something about this springtime fatigue. We are willing and then feel like we need to take a nap or sleep in or whatever it is. When I think kapha, I think invigorate without overwhelm, uplift without ungrounding, energize without overstimulating. There's a concept that you might like, Tiggers and Eeyores, and if you are in a dynamic with another person, and one person is the Eeyore and one person is the Tigger, we've got that kind of like Tigger energy that's like, hey, turn that fan upside down, let's get going, let's throw open all the windows, let's have a hot drink, let's do everything, whee! And the Eeyore person is like, and they're just gonna get further and further apart in their moods in an attempt to change the other person. So this is what I'm thinking if we're in more of a kapha, especially this class is designed more for earlier in the day. If we're in more of that kapha, Eeyore, slow, don't push me, I'm coming along at my own speed. We do not need that kind of Tigger energy. Let's have 3 double espressos in a row. Instead, we can have something that is uplifting, brightening without being too much. So I'm going for something a little bit more delicate this month, bergamot and geranium. And I love these cute little droppers that we have. One of my favorite techniques, dilute it. Does not take too much. I would do probably something like 5 drops of bergamot and 1 drop of geranium. Bergamot's definitely more delicate. Geranium I love to use to bring out citrus. And then a little drop on the forearm because, well, it's in a carrier oil, so keep in mind it's probably okay to put on your skin as long as you're okay with that. When we go to do our yoga poses, things like child's pose, down dog, we get this nice whiff of uplift without overwhelm. Okay, that is enough chit chat from me. We are ready to rock. We have our concept. We're gonna get moving, warming. We've got our tea, our essential oil to help with that uplift. You may like to start seated in a chair. We'll do some breathing practices. For sake of ease, I'm gonna head on over to the mat. We begin standing or seated, yogi's choice. Sometimes we just wanna have a sit. It's demanding to be standing up. Sometimes it can gently boost our energy. I will leave this up to you. As always, modify any of our movements to suit your needs best today. Option to begin with hand on heart, tuning inward. Option to close our eyes, and we'll just do a brief pause here before we get moving to check in. Asking myself, asking yourself, what do I need today? Seeing if an answer comes from within, and if nothing comes up, that's okay too. Just acknowledging that we're spending this time tuning inward. Let's take a deep breath in, and with our exhale, counting in your own mind backwards from 5. When we get to 1, we're ready to go. Big breath in, counting down from 5. Let's open those eyes and we'll get moving. Let's begin with our 4, 7, 8 breath to boost our energy just a little bit. We can take hand to chest and belly. Again, to be tuned more inward. So our 4, 7, 8 breath, we inhale for 4 with the lungs full, we hold for 7, and then we exhale for 8, and then repeat. Okay, here we go. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's hold. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then really exhale and empty through pursed lips. Here we go. Let's do 3 more. 4, 7, 8. The breath hold is supposed to help with anxiety, to make sure we really get a full inhale, and then that long exhale, forcing ourselves to empty out everything. It's supposed to help with our mood and our sense of uplift. Okay, we've got time for 1 or 2 more. Maybe we feel our heart rate come up as we hold our breath. Really empty out. Last time here. Now let's observe our breath as we go back to a neutral breath. And one thing that people often notice is without any effort, the breath is naturally deeper. So if we are in an unpleasant kind of mood state, often the breath is quite shallow. That 4, 7, 8 breath can shake things up a little bit and keep our breath fuller. Let's keep moving. We'll do a little more Qigong styled breathing. Inhaling up, thumbs to shoulders to remind us of our posture, and then exhaling down. And this as well can help to keep our breath full, matching breath to movement. If you like that feeling of holding the breath on the inhale, we can pause at the top, stand tall, and then exhale. So we're doing something like maybe inhaling for 4, pause for 1 or 2, exhale for 6. Last one here. Super. Okay, if you are seated, feel free to stay seated and modify our movements. Otherwise, let's get going. We'll stand tall with our hands on our hips, and we're gonna go for a little walk, lifting one leg at a time. So if you have your yoga mat like a diving board facing me, we're going roughly from one side to the other, covering your full width of the yoga mat. So we get a little bit of balance in here. This is one of those yoga poses that doesn't really have a name, knee raises. When I was a cheerleader, we called this one Liberty, and I like the feeling of being liberated, so I go with calling it a Liberty flow. We can add a punch up. And we may feel, I don't know, after winter wearing heavy boots seems like a lot to lift our leg. Maybe we feel light and unburdened. Perhaps we feel a bit of a stretch through the hips or the glutes as we're lifting. We'll give it a couple more. I guess. Okay. We'll come back through center. If you are standing at the edge of your mat, let's bring ourselves to a wide position. And let's take one finger on each hand. This is supposed to increase our breath practice to be up and out with our inhale. Fingers sort of to the spot where wall and ceiling meets, and then lowering down on our exhale. So we are engaging our prana, our breath, our energy, our sense of vitality. And as we're pointing one finger, we can also be engaging the same sort of musculature in our big toe to help us with balance, right? Sometimes what we do in our hands helps us with our feet. If I spread my fingers, it can help spread my toes. If I extend my first finger, my big toe can push down. And believe it or not, big toe strength is an important factor in health and longevity. All right, let's do our big sun sweeps. We can spread fingers now. We can tap at the top and then lower down. Maybe all fingertips and thumbs come together overhead, or just the thumbs. Working our proprioception, coordination, our balance a bit here. All right, let's do one more in this big position. We'll pause in what we call sun pose. Palms up, thumbs back. Noticing if we're feeling warmer at this moment, welcoming in the warmth of the sun into our bodies. And then we can picture that we are holding a giant sun or beach ball between our hands, and we take it in a circle. And we can start to be more adventurous with this circle, moving not in our typical way, but still holding kind of the same shape in our arms, having control in the upper body. Maybe we feel a tight spot somewhere around here, and we want to move more through that tight spot, more slowly, more deeply. And there's really no one right way to do this. But we should make it balanced, right? So notice which way you're going. And then let's take it the other way. I hope we're starting to feel balanced from one side to the other. Come back through to sun pose, pause, and open. Once more, welcoming the energy of the sun that will power us to new growth, fresh life. We can bring hands to hips, walk our feet a little bit closer. A bit more Tai Chi inspired. We'll shift our weight to one side and pop the opposite toe. Shift weight to the other side, pop the opposite toe. Now we do not have to pop the toe. There is a variation where we just go side to side. I'll leave that up to you. I like to do balance work in the spring because mud is just as slippery, if not more slippery, than snow and ice. Plus, maybe we've been kind of stiff and locked down all winter. So we can open up, inhaling overhead, exhaling as we sit side into our lunge. Now, if you're familiar with this type of movement and you'd like to go much deeper, yes, there are variations where we get super low, we take the feet really wide, but remember we are energizing without depleting, uplifting without overwhelming. Let's give it a couple more good ones. We'll come back to the top, reach tall. And we can link our thumbs so that our hands don't slip apart. And we'll just do our arm sweeps here. Inhaling up, linking the thumbs so we can reach tall without the hands coming apart. And we'll do another energizing style of breath. So you could keep it the way we're doing it, or we can open and really bring ourselves down. So I'm bringing my arms behind me, sort of an airplane position. We could inhale up, super tall. If you have the ability to really let it out a lot of noise, go for it. We'll do 3 more here. 3. We could also do that pursed lip exhale. Last one. Beautiful. All right, let's again do our small circles, reminding ourselves of our posture, inhaling up, thumbs out, and then down. Last one. A little bit more easy going to balance things out. Before we come back to the top of our mats, we'll do percussion on our collarbones. This can be a nice little way to collect our energy after something kind of frenzied has happened, like we just did. Or if we're feeling really dull, it can be a way to boost our energy and get us moving again. So gentle fingertips across the collarbone, or a soft fist and like a gorilla, thumping on the chest. Yogi's choice, either or, but it can be nice to start our day with a big huh. So let's at least try one here. Let the breath out. And then we can step ourselves to the top of our mat, release. Chair flow. We've probably done this a whole bunch. Hands to heart, sitting down and back into our squat. We stand tall. So I'll show you from the front. Our options for today are to lower down and then open like the YMCA overhead. So we are thinking spring, we are channeling spring energy. We can do our lotus mudra as we lower down and then inhale up, arms overhead. Usually we inhale as we lift. We're lifting our hearts here. Exhaling as we lower, squeezing through our glutes. All right, last one here. We'll bring hands to heart. Feel free to hold our lotus mudra as we do our next one. We'll step back with the right foot, just a short step back to our warrior one or a lunge. Getting some stretch through the front of the right hip here. We're waking up our hip flexors for another Liberty Balance challenge. Okay, we're stepping to the top of the mat. Resetting on the other side, lunge with the toes tucked or warrior with the foot flat, whichever one is more comfortable today. Usually the foot position translates up into the hips and knees, so you'll know. If you do one position and the knee hurts, maybe try the other. Coming on up to the top of the mat, we'll release our hands. Okay, kind of a walking motion. We'll start on the right. We take the right knee up and then swing back. Right knee up, swing back. So the same leg is moving the whole time. The opposite leg is our strong balance leg. We can put a bend in the knee. We can do quite a strong bend if it helps us balance. And then let's swing the arms. One thing we miss out on during the winter is swinging the arms while we're walking, because maybe we're not going out at all. And then when we do, it's cold out, so we're really like hunched, right? So let's get out of that hunch. Remembering, of course, feel free to slow it down and tap as much as you need to. Okay, a few more swings on this side. Let's give it one more. And then we'll plant back down. I like to shake the left leg off, and then it's the left leg's turn to move. Strong base on the right side. We can start by easing ourselves into it, and then when we get the flow, we feel what we need, feel free to get into a big vigorous swing, and it's up to you to decide which you need more. Do we need those arm swings more? You can focus more on being really loose in the upper body, or do you need the leg swing more? You can focus on the balance, maybe holding on to something, right? We can make it work for ourselves, focusing on what you need. All right, we'll go another 3, 2, last one. The right leg may need a little shake off. We'll take it to the top of the mat. Something more balanced and standard. We'll still start by lifting the right leg or tapping the right toes, challenging our balance. And then we'll step way, way back into warrior one. Maybe it takes us 2 steps to get back there and lower down. So left foot in front, left knee over left ankle. For warrior one, maybe thumbs to shoulders to focus on our posture. If we're feeling more conventional, we can reach the arms overhead, pausing and steadying our energy. If you feel there's still a big flurry of energy in your mind, making sure we're getting a full exhale, and we could come back to that tapping on the collarbones at any time. Let's open to warrior two. Stepping our feet as far apart as comfortable to lower down, feel strong and solid. Let's stack hands over feet, or we can do more like our sun pose today, flipping palms up, soft bend in the elbows. Once more, we can hold the sun in our hands, give it a few circles. And circling the other way. Coming back to warrior two. For side angle pose, we're taking hand to thigh, reaching long. For triangle pose, straightening the left leg. Probably feeling an increase in stretch sensation through the inner thigh on the left side. Maybe the outside of the right hip as well. We'll make our way back to the top of the mat. So we can release the hands, bend the front knee, walk the back foot in, and step up to the top. Let's take a full breath to reset. We can take thumbs to shoulders as we've been doing, and open out. Lifting the left knee, left foot back, warrior one. Yogi's choice. What do we feel is the right thing to do with our hands? Lotus mudra, tapping on the collarbones, thumbs to shoulders, or maybe feeling conventional, we want to take it overhead. Moving into warrior two with sun pose arms. Let's hold the shape of the sun between our hands and draw circles. Both ways. Warrior two, and then side angle pose. Triangle. Reversing out of here, bending that front knee again, walk it to the top of the mat. And let's do some liberty swings to let our heart rate come down a bit more. We may like hands out for balance. Let's go a little more slowly than we did when we were warming up. We're working towards cooling down at this moment. Pause with one knee up to help ourselves balance. Maybe thumbs to shoulders. Let's pause here. One more round of breath. Whenever we're ready to come down, in your own time, take it to the other side. One more round of breath here. Coming out of the balance when it feels right. Beautiful. Let's get into those hips again. We've been doing a lot of leg lifts. So we'll start as we did before, taking the right foot back to stretch the right hip flexor. I'll give us a couple options here. So generally this one is enjoyed by the majority of my students. Forward stance warrior one. We can tuck the toes and be more in a lunge, tucking the pelvis under and dropping the knee. Further lengthening the hip flexor. Some of us might like to come down to the thigh or the floor, and some of us may like to drop the knee. So I've done them in order from most liked to least liked. Finding a way to be okay with ourselves wherever we are, even if I'm doing something different from you. Okay, to switch sides, let's have a little fun with it. You're gonna turn to look away from me. Same thing, but let's pivot on our feet. So now the right foot is in front, the left foot is in behind. If you can't see me, even better. Tuning in to your own body. So we're lengthening the front of the left hip. Our left foot can be flat, or the toes can be tucked. We can be in a big long lunge, hands to thigh or mat, maybe the knee coming down to the mat. So my purpose for throwing this one in is that we strengthened our hip flexors, which maybe means we tightened them up. So we should give an opportunity to lengthen them out. Start to make our way back to the top of the mat, joining ourselves together. We can reset with our breath, inhaling up and out, making a large or small movement. And the next time our hands are coming down, let's take them to our thighs. We can walk down our legs, resting belly to thighs in forward fold. Give the head a gentle shake. And we'll walk ourselves down to down dog or child. Pausing here as long as you need to, and let's move through cat and cow. We can do it seated to get off our wrists, or we can do it from all fours in our more typical cat and cow way. And just like we did when we had the sun in our hands, taking it in circles, we could also kind of be circling our bodies around here. Loosening up anywhere that feels tight. Does not have to be our typical robotic cat and cow flow. Like a cat, when it wakes up in the morning, or a dog, they know how to stretch. Nobody teaches them how to stretch. You know, they're sleeping in a sunbeam, they wake up and they know exactly what to do. Let's take a seat. We'll draw the feet together for butterfly. Sitting tall, starting from posture, remembering that we can rest the weight of our arms on our hands, and that might give us a little bit more oomph in our twist. We can take hands behind us to sit tall. And yes, if we aren't craving it, we can fold forward. Now, if you are going to be getting up and off the mat and continuing on with your day, I would recommend a more even breath. Inhale 4, out for 4. If you're gonna have some wind down time after this, that's when we can really stretch out the exhale to be in a more sleepy state. Let's try it in our wide-legged forward fold. Taking our feet out so we can be, as we were before, tall, hands on legs, or walking forward, legs bent or straight. Use that exhale to either find balance or really stretch it out, go deeper. Making our way back up through center. We'll do a wide-legged twist. We don't do this one very often. So again, we can have our feet planted or straight. Everybody's different. I had a student who just naturally did everything from this position. It was her favorite way to sit down. Most people, it is not, but can be a good solid base to ground us as the rest of our bodies are moving. That in mind, we know we could be in a chair, cross-legged, or anything else, but it can help to press our fingertips down and behind us to sit tall. And then we'll turn from the lowest parts of our spine so that we're aiming belly towards the right leg, then our ribs, collarbones, heart center, and if we like, we can turn the head. Inhale, sitting taller. Exhale, feeling the foundation of our lower body. Back through center. We like to turn the head first so we don't get dizzy, orienting our brains first and then the rest of the body. All right, we sit tall. Let's turn belly, ribs, chest, heart center, spiraling up through the spine. If we like to turn the head, we can. Coming back through center. All right, finally gather our legs in. We can shake them off. Maybe we shake them off long or windshield wipe side to side. Your choice. We can finish seated or supine. There may be some final movement you would like to do. And then we'll settle in. I'm going to read from Awakening Kindness by, I am so sorry, I do not know how to pronounce his name, Nwang Kichog. It is a nice, brief little book. There is a picture of him on the cover, and it just has different techniques to awaken kindness in ourselves. So option for our 4-7-8 breath again, if you are a fan. Otherwise, a more balanced one is 4-2-6, yogi's choice. When all else fails, focusing on a full breath in and a full breath out, keeping it balanced so we're not holding on to any extra air and we're not so stiff and shallow that we are not getting enough air. Okay, so full inhale, maybe a pause. And then the exhale a little bit longer than the inhale. 4-7-8, 4-2-6. You may have another favorite combination that you like. Let's give it one more of those here. Letting our breath come back to normal. And we actually start with a quote from Thich Nhat Hanh. People usually consider walking on water or thin air a miracle. But I think the real miracle is not to walk on either water or thin air, but to walk on earth. Each day we are engaged in a miracle which we don't even recognize. A blue sky, white clouds, green leaves, the curious eyes of a child, our own two eyes. All is a miracle. So behind our closed eyelids, let's picture the beauty and bounty of nature. A blue sky, white clouds, green leaves. We can picture ourselves in this scene, acknowledging that it is our own two eyes looking out into the miracle. And we have the option to picture someone else with us, as Thich Nhat Hanh suggests, the curious eyes of a child. We don't realize that we are only utilizing a small percentage of our heart's potential for love. Here in this scene, surrounded by the safety of nature, or perhaps we think the love of nature, picture that we are opening our hearts for our true potential of love. We may picture in our heart space a rose blooming. Maybe we feel our heart beating more freely. And if today is not a particularly loving day for you, we always have the option just to cultivate a sense of okayness. I have the right to be here. I have the right to feel okay. As you move into the rest of your day, thinking of how you can move forward with kindness. Kindness both to yourself and others. When we think of the importance of being kind to both ourselves and others, we can think of an eagle. Again, another symbol of liberty and freedom. You may have a different favorite bird to picture. But when this bird wants to fly, it needs 2 wings. With 2 wings, it can soar beautifully. If you only have 1 wing, the desire to be kind for only yourself or only towards others, you cannot truly be free and fly. When we remember to have both wings, we have the wisdom of kindness for self and other. It is suggested here that this can create a greater citizen, can strengthen you on your journey in life, and allow all things to be more peaceful. Let's finish with our Garuda mudra, whether supine or seated. One of my favorites, the mudra of a liberated heart. So we'll take our thumbs together, make an eagle with our hands. This is our eagle mudra, but perhaps you have another favorite bird. It is almost that time of year when the herons come back. And I think today I'm picturing the gentle, peaceful flight of a heron. Holding that image in our minds and our hearts, allowing, if only just for this moment, for our hearts to feel free, kind towards self and kind toward others. Thank you so much for joining me here today. From my light to yours, namaste.